Long-range snipers are possibly the most hated archetype in shooters. It's been said so often how restrictive it can feel to go against, how polarizing the weapon is at different skill levels, and how the issue of these type of weapons is around regardless of the current balance state. And Splatoon has not been immune to this problem, with its first two long-range snipers having this exact set of issues. However, the latest installment, Splatoon 3, introduced the Sniper Raider 5H, or Pencil, and I think this weapon was built to try and fix these issues with snipers, and I want to take a closer look into how it tackles the problems of snipers in a very unique way, by making it a support. If you enjoy this type of video, please consider subscribing for more content on this game. Before I get too far into this, I want to clarify that I am just looking at long-range snipers. Short-range ones are a whole other archetype for another time. Anyway, before we get into Pencil, let's briefly cover what is the main problems with Sniper. To put it in a nutshell, long-range plus a one-shot controls way too much of the game. It makes these weapons very oppressive at holding angles and positions, especially from a long distance, though in some games they can also be good at close range.
Democracy has landed!
And because it is a one-shot weapon that is sitting too far away for you to be able to do anything against it too often, making even the smallest mistake can get you very unfairly punished. These traits often make them some of the more powerful weapons in the game, but they're difficult to balance because they have very few stats to tweak, and the ones you can mess with usually fundamentally break the class or make them feel horrible to use. It's not that there aren't ways to play around snipers, it's that the counterplay usually involves passive, stally gameplay and basically avoiding fights in any kind of sniper sightline, which makes the game less fun for everyone involved, including the actual sniper players, and that's the main problem. While Splatoon has some differences in a more movement-focused, faster-paced environment and a turfing system, it has most of the same fundamental issues with its snipers as most shooters do. So how do we balance around such an extreme aspect as a one-shot kill from across the stage? Pencil got rid of it, which might sound a little bit crazy at first. That's a huge part of the class's identity, and getting rid of it could feel absolutely terrible if not done correctly. Now, Splatoon is not the only shooter to try removing the one-shot, but it does have a unique way of balancing around it. So how do you make a weapon appealing that doesn't do the thing that snipers are known for? Well, what I think ends up happening is with this one overtuned attribute removed, you can do so much with the rest of the weapon stats to make it feel powerful, and this is where Pencil's unique choices in its weapon design really gets to shine. It gets to do far more interesting things than most normal snipers could ever hope to contribute that gives this weapon far more depth while being more accessible to beginners of the class. First off, instead of one shot per charge, Pencil gets a total of 5 of them, with 2 shots being needed for a kill. On the normal chargers in Splatoon, the mobility while holding a charge is way too limited to ever take advantage of multiple shots, which is why Pencil also has a fast strafe speed and unhindered jump height. These factors allow you to jump and shoot over cover, charging the weapon while jumping over objects and terrain, and just in general, making smaller repositioning changes without having to drop the weapon's charge. That kind of mobility, especially from something with this much range, is really fun to mess around with, and gives a lot more leeway to newer players while giving experienced ones more ways to move and be aggressive. Outside of the mobility, let's talk about the weapon's team synergy. For snipers and team shooters, I've always found them to be a lot less fun to work around. There isn't as much to do other than playing in open sight lines they can take advantage of and just hoping they hit their shots. Pencil, on the other hand, while plenty self-sufficient, is made to be fun to work around through its damage and paint. This weapon does 68 damage per shot, which is very specific. Players have 100 health in Splatoon, and 68 is just enough to work with most fighting weapons for a combo kill, but just shy of working with most lethal bombs, outside hit, or other weaker damage options. This intentionally gives the weapon a consistent synergy that makes both players feel rewarded for working together, while minimizing the amount of deaths from random sources of damage mixed with one shot from the weapon. Splatoon is unique as well in its movement and turfing system compared to other shooters, where the paint on the ground reduces the amount of places the enemy can hide and allows anyone on your team to move more freely. Pencil does this very well by painting 5 thin lines that are easy to swim forward in for approaches, or can help cover the ground in general, which is how you build specials in Splatoon. Normal chargers in Splatoon are a paint deficit compared to other weapons in a team comp, but this one ends up covering for it, making it easier to pair with more options and creating more synergy. For example, close-range stealthy weapons that don't need damage combos can use the lines to threaten approaches. This means Pencil actually feels good to team with them. And that's not even the best part. That is the weapon's kit, and more specifically, the special weapon it has, Tacticooler. I've already gone over that this weapon can get a lot of it special, so an annoying one could easily ruin what the weapon has going for it. But instead, it actually directly addresses the passive gameplay associated with snipers. This special is a drink stand that your teammates can grab if they go close enough to it. These give various combat buffs like increased mobility and jump accuracy, but most importantly, they drastically reduce the penalty for dying. The respawn time is reduced by 4 seconds, and the special loss on death is cut from 50% to literally 0. You don't lose any at all. This special has become a centerpiece for Splatoon 3's metagame, and it directly involves incentivizing pushing in and being aggressive for everyone, including the sniper player, which can't farm their next special for 10 seconds after using it, and so has to take advantage of those buffs to also move forward. Now, Pencil has drawbacks for sure. Losing out on the one-shot is a main one, but the weapon still does have a long charge time, second longest out of the class, and poor ink efficiency, which means that you'll have to refill your tank, creating even more necessary downtime, while also struggling up close, which is a common theme for snipers specifically in Splatoon. These are fair drawbacks to contribute to the weapon's balance, and with all the positives I talked about, I do want to talk about the critiques this weapon gets. It used to have a lot more of an issue with passive gameplay, before its paint and special output were toned back. However, these days, it's only really critiqued because it's been the best long-range weapon in the game for almost a year and a half. Splatoon 3 is very slow and minimal nerfs with its patches, which I actually like for the most part, but that's a topic for another time. What this does mean though, is we've had this weapon in the spotlight for a long time, and despite how good it is, and how dominant it is on its role and special, the weapon itself is still seen as healthy for the game, and has only gone closer to that as balance changes have come out for it. And that's the thing. At its absolute worst, this weapon just has overtuned issues that can very easily be adjusted. The design of this weapon at its core is good enough to be enjoyed with its balance issues for over a year now, and that's how I know they did a good job. Splatoon 3's solution of turning a sniper into part support works super well for this game. It makes building a variety of team comps easy, allows for synergistic and natural team play, gives a lot more stats for the weapon to be able to play around when balancing, and contributes to a fast-paced metagame that takes advantage of the unique turfing and movement system Splatoon is known for. While I can understand for some people the one-shot is essential to enjoying it, which would require a different solution, I think that Pencil is a very fun and creative change to the weapon archetype, while at the same time being a lot less punishing to go against, that deserves more credit for how well it's worked for this game. But with that being said, that's all I have to say on this topic. I think it's really cool to see more attempts on fixing this type of weapon archetype, and I'm very curious to see how things evolve in the future. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you for watching.